At the early ages of 19 and 21, young and ambitious Adnan and Adel Kassar would venture into the Chinese business market. Gazing back at the memories, they still remember their early visits to China. Long trips from Hong Kong to Canton and Beijing, on planes that needed to be refueled every 2 hours. Their journey began in 1954, when fate would bring them together with a Chinese delegation meeting in Karachi, Pakistan, who would invite them to visit Hong Kong. Meeting the Chinese delegation in Hong Kong would be the start of a long legacy for Adnan and Adel Kassar with China. They would be the first Lebanese to establish trade relations with China. Their successful business experience in Hong Kong would lead the way to visit Beijing. Adnan and Adel Kassar would recognize the rapidly growing Chinese economy that accompanies the rise of the new republic as a potential opportunity to establish new commercial trade between Lebanon and China, and from Lebanon to the Arab world. Commercial trade that would bring mutual benefits and rewards. In 1955, when Lebanon had no diplomatic relations with China, Adnan and Adel Kassar would persuade the Lebanese president, His Excellency Mr. Kamil Sham'oun, to invite the first Chinese delegation to visit Lebanon. Despite all opposition and resistance, the visit would lead to the first trade agreement between Lebanon and China. This contributed to future trade relations between China, Lebanon, and the Arab world through Lebanon. That same year, Adnan and Adel Kassar would ensure the establishment of the first Chinese Economic Representative Office in Lebanon, raising the flag of the People's Republic of China in Lebanon for the first time. The trade agreements made by Adnan and Adel Kassar guaranteed that previously unknown Chinese products would become available in the Lebanese and Arab markets. In 1972, Adnan Kassar, the newly elected president of the Lebanese Federation of Chambers of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, would lead the first Lebanese business delegation to China. During that same year, history would witness the establishment of the China-Lebanese diplomatic relations. Later in 1981, Adnan Kassar would also organize the first Arab delegation to visit China. In 1988, he would launch the Chinese Arab Chamber of Commerce, aiming to strengthen and develop the commercial relations between China and the Arab world. In an effort to develop the relations between the Chinese business community and the World Business Organization, Adnan Kassar would organize an official ICC visit to China in 1985. As the first Arab to lead the International Chamber of Commerce, Adnan Kassar would also launch the first national committee of the ICC in China, making it an active member. Adnan Kassar would continue his efforts in organizing Lebanese delegations to China. In 2002, he would personally accompany the late Prime Minister Rafiq Hariri on an official visit to China. After receiving an honorary membership from CCPIT, the biggest chamber of commerce in China, in 2007, the highest recognition would come to Adnan Kassar with an award presented by Chinese President Xi Jinping. On 20 January 2016, Chairman Kassar was invited by the Chinese government to receive the China Arab Outstanding Contribution Award in Cairo during President Xi's first state visit to the Arab world. Chairman Kassar reiterated his determination to support the visionary One Belt One Road initiative during his meeting with President Xi. Subsequent to this ceremony, Chairman Kassar's story was made into a documentary by Xinhua News Agency and CCTV. A set of 2 commemorative covers was issued by China National Philatelic Corporation with Adnan Kassar's portrait, making him the first person, not a head of state, to receive such an honor in China. Now, over 60 years have passed since Adnan and Adel Kassar started their journey with China, a fruitful, productive, and a really memorable journey. Building on their historic and strong ties to China, as owners and chairman of Fransabank Group, a leading banking and finance group based in Lebanon with subsidiaries in over 11 countries, Adnan and Adel Kassar would spur the launch of the first China desk at a banking group in the Arab and Africa regions. Fransabank Group's China desk serves the Chinese trade, business, and investment relations in Fransabank's various markets of operations. Fransabank is placing its universal banking services at the disposal of local entrepreneurs dealing with China and the Chinese working in Fransabank markets. Over half a century ago, when Adnan and Adel Kassar promoted Chinese goods to the entire Arab world, they had to build the trust and marketing of Chinese goods. Today, China is the #1 trading partner to most Arab countries, which is valued in the trillions of dollars. On the occasion of the 60th anniversary of the signing of the first trade agreement between Lebanon and China in 1955, Fransabank chairman Adnan and Adel Kassar hosted a gala dinner on 26 May 2015 at the Phoenicia Hotel, attended by China's state leader Wang Jingwei, who headed the Chinese delegation of 250 official and business leaders, as well as high-level officials from Lebanon and 15 Arab countries, who all came to Lebanon to participate in the Arab-Chinese Business Conference. Held on 26 and 27 May, the Arab-Chinese Business Conference was a great success on all fronts. It was attended by over 700 high-level participants from China and the Arab world. In his keynote address at the opening ceremony, Chairman Kassar showed determination to carry on developing the China-Arab trade relations, stressing on the strategic importance of rebuilding the ancient Silk Road and the prime location of Lebanon in this route. Chairman Kassar had visited with the Chinese state leader, the Lebanese Prime Minister, and they discussed means of supporting the Chinese-Lebanese economic ties. They then chaired a meeting in the Grand Sarai with the Chinese and Arab VIPs. Adnan Kassar would take it to heart to promote Lebanon as a key hub on China's visionary Belt and Road Initiative, using his wide network built over 6 decades with China and his new positions and relations. For this, Adnan Kassar would be appointed as the honorary chairman of the Silk Road Chamber of International Commerce and the United Nations Maritime Continental Silk Road Cities Alliance. These new positions and relations would be held dearly by Chairman Kassar, as would his ties to new prominent Chinese friends, including Her Excellency, Madame Li Xiaoling, a prominent politician and daughter of former Chinese President Li, and president of the Chinese People's Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries. Chairman Kassar had met Madame Li in Cairo during the award ceremony with President Xi Jinping and would then work with her organization to promote Lebanon-China relations. Fransabank and her organization held One Belt and One Road to China, Beirut to Beijing, in July 2016, and then Beijing to Beirut in November 2016. The two projects included events promoting exchanges in culture and tourism, gastronomy and education, business and trade. High-level meetings with state leaders in both China and Lebanon were held to confirm Lebanon's readiness and China's interest in a strong bilateral cooperation. In 2017, to develop and strengthen Lebanon's strategic ties to China, Adnan and Adel Kassar would make their first joint trip to China with the Fransabank delegation to various Chinese provinces. In Nanchang, they would meet with high-level officials to sign an MOU of cooperation and to promote Lebanese goods to China, including wine, nuts, soap, and olive oil. And of course, to promote Lebanon's tourism sector, in which Fransabank had pioneered hosting the first China familiarization tour that included top Chinese travel agencies to visit key touristic destinations throughout Lebanon. Xi'an, the ancient Chinese capital city and the very starting point of the Silk Road, now has special significance to the Kassar brothers. A landmark building in Xi'an was named Adnan and Adel Kassar Silk Road Cultural Center. This to commemorate their outstanding contribution to the relations between China and the Arab countries as the first Arab businessman dealing with the new China. Adnan Kassar would address, together with Chinese state leader Wang Xinmin, the Silk Road Business Summit in Xi'an, inviting all to consider Lebanon, with its improved political stability and economic development, and its enormous potential for China in investment, trade, education, and tourism. Lebanon, Adnan and Adel Kassar confirmed, and the city of Tripoli in particular, with its strategic location for the upcoming reconstruction of Syria and Iraq, can be a regional stable base for Chinese companies active in our region. Tripoli presents a series of infrastructure projects including railway, airport, port expansion, special economic zone, and an existing international fair to house regional offices of Chinese groups. Fransabank would raise this concept, inviting Chinese delegations to visit Tripoli, including public and private sector officials and executives. Chairman Kassar are now, more than ever, determined to promote their two favorite countries, Lebanon and China, to have stronger win-win ties within the mutual benefit principle.
Our relation with China is a lifetime relation. We have learned from them that once you give your word or you sign a paper, then you are bound and you have to execute. And we are using it in our life.